In the ancient days of Israel, a time before kings, a harsh famine struck Bethlehem, the very house of bread. A man named Elimelech, his wife Naomi, and their 2 sons left their home, seeking refuge in the neighboring land of Moab. There, tragedy found them. Elimelech died, and though his sons married local women, Orpah and Ruth, 10 years later they too passed away, leaving Naomi and her daughters-in-law alone and vulnerable. When news arrived that the famine in Bethlehem had ended, Naomi decided to return. She urged Orpah and Ruth to go back to their own families, where they might find new husbands. With tears, Orpah agreed and turned back. But Ruth refused. In a powerful declaration of loyalty, she said, "Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God." So, the 2 women traveled together, arriving in Bethlehem just as the barley harvest began. The town buzzed with their return, but Naomi, heavy with grief, felt only bitterness. To provide for them, Ruth went to glean leftover grain from the fields, a right given to the poor and foreigners. She happened to choose a field belonging to a man named Boaz, a wealthy relative of her late father-in-law. Boaz noticed her hard work and her deep loyalty to Naomi. He was moved by her character. He instructed his workers not only to protect her but to intentionally leave extra grain for her to gather. Ruth came home that evening with an abundance of food, far more than she could have gathered on her own. When Naomi saw the grain and heard that it was from Boaz's field, a spark of hope ignited within her. She recognized the hand of God moving in their lives. Boaz was a kinsman redeemer, someone who could legally restore their family's land and fortunes. In the midst of their loss, a new story of redemption was just beginning. Thanks for watching. Naomi guided Ruth carefully, teaching her how to seek redemption with humility rather than demand. Ruth approached Boaz and asked him to spread his protection over her, according to the law of Israel. Boaz was moved by her faithfulness. He promised to redeem her if the law allowed, though another relative had the first right. Boaz did not rush or bend justice. Redemption, in God's design, walks hand in hand with righteousness. At the city gate, before elders and witnesses, the matter was settled. The other man declined the responsibility. Boaz redeemed the land of Elimelech and took Ruth the Moabite as his wife. The Lord blessed them. Ruth bore a son named Obed. Naomi, once empty, held the child in her arms. The women of Bethlehem rejoiced and said the Lord had restored her life. The bitterness Naomi once named no longer defined her ending. Obed grew and became the father of Jesse. Jesse became the father of David. Here the quiet story widens into the history of a nation. David would be born in Bethlehem, raised among its fields, and chosen by God to be king. He would shepherd sheep before shepherding Israel. He would write psalms shaped by trust, repentance, and hope. And standing silently in his lineage was Ruth, a Moabite woman, a foreigner, a gleaner in borrowed fields. She was the great-grandmother of King David. Her faith flowed into David's bloodline. Her choice echoed in his courage. Her loyalty became part of the foundation God used to establish Israel's greatest king. When God promised David an everlasting kingdom, Ruth's obedience had already helped prepare the ground. And the line did not stop with David. Generations later, in the same town of Bethlehem, another child would be born. A redeemer greater than Boaz, a king greater than David, and Ruth's name would still be there, written into the lineage of Jesus, the Messiah. So the book of Ruth is not small. It is a reminder that God builds history through faithfulness, redemption through kindness, and kings through people the world barely notices. From Ruth came David, from David came the promise. And from the promise, Jesus Christ came salvation.